The leaders of Britain's biggest parties were all invited. 5 of them are here. The Liberal Democrats, the Scottish National Party and Plaid Cymru, Labour and the Green Party of England and Wales. We kept the invitations open to the leaders of the Conservative Party and the Brexit Party. They have not taken up their places yet. Instead, a reminder, the ice caps are melting as politicians around the globe fail to cut greenhouse gas emissions in time to stop rising temperatures.
I have to say to Jeremy, of course, it was great to see the Labour motion at your conference coming out for 2030. That's absolutely the right target, but unfortunately the manifesto says you want to get the majority of emissions by 2030. You know, a couple of countries already in the world have gone for 2030. We need to show that same level of ambition. You know, we have the technology now to reach carbon neutrality by 2030. Unfortunately, what's lacking is the political will. That's the monuments, to the lack of political leadership that we have either side of us here. We've got to change that. And the people that aren't represented here as well are the future generations. Okay. We've got to be their voice and get to 2030.
So you're another 2030. Jo Swinson, where are you?
Well, we think that it is absolutely possible to get there by 2045, but we should do this as quickly as we can.
So you're less ambitious?
No, because we should do it as quickly as we can and bring that date forward. But the important thing is not only when we get to net zero, it's how quickly we cut emissions right now, how much carbon we take out of the atmosphere right now. That is what is going to give us the best chance of saving our planet.
How credible is 2030, which is also your pledge, when the experts on the Committee on Climate Change just say that's too fast?
We have to do what the science demands, not what's politically convenient here. And the key thing about a 2050 target is it leaves us with a 50% chance of tipping over into runaway climate chaos. Now, would you cross a bridge with those odds of getting to the other side?
We have led the way in Europe on this. Europe has led the world. That's how we got the ambitious Paris Accords through. And turning our back on the European Union is turning our back on our best way of fighting the climate emergency.
Of course, it was Labour who put the climate emergency motion to Parliament on May the 1st and led the way in the UK, and we agreed with that.
Nicola Sturgeon.
I don't actually think...
Hang on, Nicola Sturgeon, don't all speak.
I don't actually think it's helping the planet that much for us all to be squabbling with each other here. This is something we should actually be trying to find unity and common purpose on. Now, I'm proud of the fact that Scotland is leading the way. The UN recognises us as a world leader. COP will be in Glasgow next year, and we should be agreeing that Scotland, the UK, should be leading the world, and then we should be putting pressure on other countries, because right now the world is not on track to limit temperature rises to 1.5 degrees.
We've heard your ambitions.
And let's make sure that we focus on the ambitions that we need to.
If any of us moved into government, we're inheriting a mixed base. I want that to go to 80 or 90% of renewables over time, and that is the direction in which we want to go.
It's very old thinking.
Sian, just briefly.
Yeah, I mean, the more diverse a grid is, the more you have different sources. The bigger the grid is, the more you have battery power in people's homes, the more you're investing in long-term storage, the easier it is to do without nuclear power. We cannot be investing in any more nuclear power stations. And they take longer than 10 years.
They take much
to build. And we've only got 10 years to solve this whole problem.
Everything produced has to be measured against the strike price that could be obtained at the time of its production. And everyone is agreed that wind power has become much, much cheaper. There was a time when it was more expensive. It isn't so. Likewise, solar has also reduced in price. So actually, the future is in sustainable green energy bases.
We are now in the UK a world leader in offshore wind. It is now the cheapest way to generate electricity because of the support for that industry that was put in by the Liberal Democrats when we were running the Climate Change Department. That has created a great British industry. It's cutting energy bills. That's a great example of what we need to do.
Briefly, if you will, Nicola Sturgeon. I know you're trying to get in.
Offshore wind is now half the price of nuclear. I don't know why Labour and the Tories are still supporting new nuclear power. We also need to get more support for onshore wind, which the Tories disgracefully have taken away. These technologies are here now, and we have to do much more to support them.
Offshore wind is a huge opportunity. 5% of the entire UK, 5% of the UK's electricity needs could be met from the west coast of Scotland alone. Add that to the major projects like the Mersey Barrage or the Swansea Bay Lagoon, you get a huge way down the line of getting totally sustainable electricity production in Britain. You have to plan for it, you have to invest in it, and you have to make sure that the jobs are there to produce it, such as the such as the bifab works in Scotland, are very much part of that industrial revolution for the future.
No, I've not been talking here tonight about things that I'm simply promising. I'm the only one here in government. The things I've been talking about are the things we're doing.
Okay,
we've got to do more.
We've got to leave it there.
These
Green's
things.
holding you to account on that in the Parliament.
Thank you all very much indeed.
Doing a good job.
Thank you all very much.